The legitimate rights were being violated.
I mean, if you propaganda them after their death, then what's true in their life doesn't have to be truth after they're dead. What the hell's going on with my voice? Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here with another episode of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I was about to say the OG, but this is technically Gaiden, which comes after the OG, but it's set before it, the background story stuff. Let's see here. I believe that you are going to give us a recap.
Okay, let's see if I remember, because it's been a while since we did last episode. Last episode, was the battle episode. Basically, we get to see the last battle of the Mafia of 34, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, everything seems to be going according to plan, but everybody has a problem with the leader, right? Because he's basically saying, no, you got to do what I need you to do. And I was like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, you got to trust me. You trust me before. So there seems to be a lot of tension. Eventually, after one maneuver after another between federal forces and, like you said, federal forces, Union forces and Imperial forces, the Union forces win the battle. But at the last moment, as they're pushing the enemy out, the battleship gets attacked from one ship that was Imperial ship that was left behind, and we see a missile or something go right for the flagship of the forces, federal forces, and at least one of their number also died before this. So it's now been a clean battle, right? And it's assumed that shot is the shot that kills the hero of the tale. But we don't know that. So we're about to see perhaps the after effects of that and how it actually went down.
I mocked you, but you said all that, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot all that. So, yeah. Okay. So we got that. And we also have some comments to go over. So I felt like I could use your recap timing to let me remind where the comments were that I had written down. First off, we have Rogue Knight from the Patreon from the episode The Hero of El Facile. I know I voted to rewatch the OG show, but I missed y'all starting somehow. I don't know if I'll watch this earlier series, but when you start the main show, I'll watch with you. I've been needing a reason to watch as I dropped the remake because, as you said, I hated how fast it moved. I want a more complete story. So besides watching 5 to 10 episodes of the old show, I'll quickly be watching the new content. So I look forward to watching with you.
Okay.
That's as opposed to the vitriol we got from Henry. I'm joking, Henry. It's just, you weren't down for it. I get that. It's fine. But we will record these enough in a week that I hope that we'll get to the point where you'll be with us again. And I know that's not addressing Rogue Knight, because Rogue Knight was just blatantly positive. We love Rogue Knight. Rogue Knight was a big watcher of 86 with us. I know I've mentioned that to you a few times. They also enjoy Crest of the Stars, Band of the Stars, which is my solo watch series. Generally just good old sci-fi anime. Alright, next up from the YouTube. These are all going to be from the same episode. Hero of El Facile is just generally, I think, the only episode released on YouTube at the moment. Honorable Chairman Meow, I think is what that says.
Yeah, Chairman Meow.
8698. Been looking forward to the original series in Gaiden. This one is more explaining political concept in a corridor for 15 minutes, important character dies, classical music, and maybe a fight or something, I don't know. And as boring as that sounds, the writing makes it very, very bit boring, and I love it. I don't know if bit was the right word there, but...
The writing is solid, the characterizations and, even when they do a lot of, and now for telling you what happened, it's like, okay, this is interesting. I could sit through this, yeah, which we have, because you have the video evidence. So there you have it.
It reminds me a lot of that. Oh, yeah, I can't. It was in my head like when I read that comment the first time, and I can't remember. Did you ever watch a show called Sports Night?
Yes.
You
Bits and
remember who
pieces. I
made
didn't watch
that?
it.
It's
It was
very
Disney?
much his style to do walk and talk. I think he also did West Wing.
Oh, yeah, he did the West Wing. Yeah. What's his
I
name?
watched Sports Night. I didn't watch West Wing.
Yeah.
So
I did watch the West Wing. Sorkin.
yeah, Sorkin. It very much feels like that when you describe it that way. 15 minutes of walking down a hallway, and it's like, I really liked Sports Night. I can go for a 15-minute walk and talk.
I mean, West Wing was pretty good.
I didn't watch West. I've seen clips of West Wing, specifically. Well, I can't remember the things anymore. Like, they're all church-related stuff, like how much the president was actually a good Christian, so he gets into like argumentative fights about like the nature of what they're doing as to like very very high up Christians, or his argument in the church with himself and God about his son dying. Anyway, I've seen clips of that because Adam Sorkin, it's Adam Sorkin, right? He's really good at just conversational pieces that make sense.
Yeah, West Wing. I watched it when it was coming out. So yeah, I don't know. It's most of it is on bits and pieces on YouTube. There's a West Wing channel. So
all right, next up we have Canaris 4. This might be me remembering DNT, but I interpreted Yang's win over Wideborn to be a cheesy strategy that wouldn't work in real life. Yang's dad dying just reminds me of Waylon Smithers Sr. dying, which makes me wonder what would happen if everyone told Yang that his father died fighting a tribe of savage women in the Amazon. I'm assuming this requires Simpsons knowledge, in that I don't know Waylon Smithers' backstory. I'm going to shit myself if this Waylon Smithers Sr. is a real person. I'm just making fun of the Simpsons. Anyway. I keep forgetting when this Gaiden was made, so I always end up surprised when I see this shot, since it looks like the Legends of Galactic Heroes predicted 3rd generation IMAX. There's a timestamp there for 1102, but I don't have an image of that. I was going to say, come on, Justin, hit me with something.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. The fact that this comes after the original series, so the technology kind of looks a little better.
1999.
Yeah. So
I don't know when IMAX came out.
I think IMAX came around.
They did say predicted 3rd generation IMAX, so presumably nothing to predict 1st generation IMAX.
Yeah. I know the first time I went to Cape Canaveral, they already had IMAX, but I think that was in the...
But that was the first time I went. Sorry, the slight brag. The first time I went to Cape Canaveral, the first time I rode on the space shuttle, you can never go back.
No, I would not make that kind of, it's not space camp. I won't say that.
Oh, so you've been to space camp too, is what you want to say?
I mean the movie.
The humble brag of, the first time I went to Cape Canaveral. Nothing like the first time I went to space camp. All right. It's got a little Bill Gates over here. All right, last comment. This one actually comes from the Hero's New Assignment, episode 2 that we watched so far. From Bass Suki. The exchange between Yang and Kasumi, who brought the material to the room. Captain Mintz is Julian Mintz's father. This is where I apologize for having not done enough work on the board yet to want to show it to anybody. I specifically said this to Lessons before we started, that I have so much work still left to do on the board. I've only added the characters that the behind the voice actors thing thought was important for the last 3 episodes. I intend to add everybody that gets named, so at that point, I still feel like I've probably got a lot more to do. Plus, I still have to take all of my notes. So, next recording, anticipate having a lot to listen to.
I mean, if one thing that Legends of the Galactic Heroes is known is to having a lot of heroes, or at least characters, in the galactic struggle.
Well, there's also the element that the Empire has a different ranking system than the Alliance. So I still have to set up the other half. I mean, it's not completely different. It's just they have a couple of different ranks that take place in between things. Also, on the Alliance side, there's a guy that I know from D&T who actually has shown up already. So in that, there's already a character beside. Well, no, Yang is technically in it, but not in it. There's already a character from the future who is in the past. So he's shown up, but he shows up at a petty officer, which is lower than on my rank sheet. So either I was going to put him in unknown, which is disambiguous or disingenuous rather, because we know what it is. It just doesn't fit. Because that's why I wrote it down as petty officer and put him in the unknown area for right now. But I've got corrections to make.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those have been the comments. Any thoughts you want to throw out there before we get into this?
I want to see what, I mean, the last episode was interesting, not so much because he had a lot of action, because ultimately it was a ship shooting at each other and some blowing up. It's how is that going to fit with this episode? And is this episode really going to give us some answers to what really happened, or more questions about what really happened?
My thought was, do you still want to make any guesses about what's going on with the whole Tuesday letter thing?
No, I'm going to wait to see what the episode says. I think I know it. I think it's a granddaughter. That's my guess.
Ah, damn it. I was going to say Miriam is her name. Miriam Ross. It was literally going to be my guess. Who else is left, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who's sending the letters chose to identify as the ex-wife. So they've already got a female mentality in mind to identify as, to represent themselves as the woman in the scenario. And then Miriam shows up and she's like, they're always telling the story wrong about my dad. They're getting shit wrong.
My grandfather, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying. It seems like the obvious. Also, she looks like angry every time we see her. So it's like, I don't know, not to point fingers, but apropos of any knowledge, I think she did it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not she did it. Obviously, I think she's sending the letters. I don't think she killed that guy before she was born. I'm not blaming anybody of time travel out of hand. All right, well, I guess that said, nothing left to do but to get into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
it's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
there's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And I guess I didn't explain this before we started, but I'll explain it now in the opening. I've lost the source of subtitles that I normally use. So I've had to take the really old yellowish to orange subtitles from apparently the Laserdisc release, which is from California Animation, something like that, which is apparently what everybody uses. And I have edited those subtitles myself, or I will be doing it one for one. I've done this one because we're only watching one today. And edited them back into the white format. Except for the narrator, which remains to be light blue.
Okay. Something I said before, some of the ships look like they're going like this, but some of the ships seem to be going in the same direction as they passing on through, so it's kind of weird.
There was a thing in the new thesis, the remake. At the end of every episode, you would start with on one side and go this way, and then on every other episode, you go this side and go this way, because it would be all the characters in the show, or all the main characters, lined up by what their faction was. So on the far left would be Yang, and then all the Alliance characters, and then somewhere near the middle, they'd start turning into Imperial. So you get a character about Yang going from left to right, or Yeah. And then the next episode would be about that guy, and it would go right to left. Well, I don't want to give his name. You don't know his name yet. So, like, I want to let reveals be reveals.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah.
I have myself drawn as him. Obviously, I'm not going to be, like, dissing him. Also, you thought we were getting into an argument who would be drawn as a gang. So, I already thought your standpoint was weird.
City that is totally not Tokyo.
Oh, cool. More dates to add to my calendar. Oh, he died off screen, huh? Or did I forget that he... Did he?
Yeah, we're told.
We were told when?
He did. At either the beginning, at the end of the last episode, I think.
Because he was in... Well, I don't know if he was in last episode. No, last episode was a flashback to the past.
Exactly, yeah. Why is he not wearing a uniform, though?
Maybe if you attribute to the old Shakespearean way of calling a little death an orgasm. So what do you think? Killed her grandpa? Maybe the tea was poisoned.
Yeah.
この度はお悔やみを申し上げます、ミス・ローザス。
ミリアムでいいわ。あなたは自分の恋人に対してもそんな呼び方をするの？
Whoa, that's pretty
ミス
forward.
なんとかって。
恋人はいません。
You're making fun of me calling that guy, and then she comes on, you call your girlfriend. It's the same conversation.
盛大な葬儀ですね。盛大っていうのは葬儀に使って
Ceremonious.
本当に悲しんでいる人なんてあの中の1割もいやしないわ。形式で来ているだけのことよ。
たとえ1割でも大変な数ですよ。それに悲しんでいないとしても残念には思っているんじゃありませんか。
あなたもそう？
はい。私もローザス提督を少なくとも
Maybe she poisoned him so he can tell his story? Because she wants his story to be better than it actually is?
ありがとう。祖父が聞いたら喜ぶわ。あなたのこと祖父は気に入っていたから。
I guess the most important thing about a crime is figuring out the motive, I feel like. Which is the most interesting part of a crime.
急なことで驚きました。事故死と伺いましたが。
運が悪かったのね。ブルース・アッシュビーは死んでしまってからまで仲間たちの運を吸い尽くすのよ。730年マフィアで幸福に晩年を迎えた者は一人もいないのだから。
I don't know, those two guys died in battle. It's pretty...
何か言いたいのではないの？
ミス・ローザス、あなたの気持ちはその尊重したいのですが、そのような言い方は亡くなった提督方にとっては迷惑かもしれませんよ。つまりこう思うのです。730年マフィアと呼ばれる提督方はそれぞれの人生の主役であって決して運命に流されていたのではないと。
Didn't we have an episode literally named that fate loved these people?
真実を混同してるんじゃないの？
事実と真実。
730年マフィアの面々がそれぞれの人生に満足し意義を見出すのは彼らにとっての真実でしょうよ。だけど客観的な事実として彼らの正当な権利が侵犯されているとしたら
The legitimate rights were being violated.
それは
I mean, if you propaganda them after their death, then what's true in their life doesn't have to be truth after they're dead. Dead? What the hell's going on with my voice?
ローザス提督の権利は侵犯されていたとお考えなんですね。
祖父の権利もね。祖父はブルース・アッシュビーの参謀長を務めることが多かったけど、無論私が言ってるのは一般論じゃないわ。参謀の功は司令官にキスとかそういうレベルのことじゃないのよ。
But you just said it.
単語の女神様だな。具体的に
Well, I think one's an implication and another one's a statement.
自分で調べろですね。
I was saying, is it actually cold, or are you doing one of those, a ghost is passing through me sort of things?
ミスミリアムさんはこれからどうなさるんですか？その出過ぎたことだと思いますけども。
本当に出過ぎてるわね。
すみません。
また必要がないのに謝るのね、あなたは。心配しなくていいのよ。私ちゃんと婚約者がいるの。今フェザーンに行ってて葬儀には来られないけど。
There's that name again.
私より15歳上で。
We get our information from Pheasant, and she's getting fiance on
取り立て的
Pheasant.
男子でもないけれど、真面目で誠実な人だからと祖父が見込んだ人なの。
はあ、それはおめでとうというのも間が抜けてるし、こんな場ではふさわしくないだろうな。
ところでヤン少佐、これからもブルース・アシュビーの謀殺説を調査するの？犯人を捕らえることができそう？
私は
If she is the murderer, it's gonna be a thing.
ですから犯人探しなんぞする気はないんです、もともと。
Also, it's not your job. It should be somebody else who's investigating this. Your job is still the 730 Mafia thing.
No, it was whether or not it was legitimate to open an inquiry on the possibility of the murder.
Right, right.
That's
But
the thing.
the
He
Bruce
said- yeah,
Ashby, not the Bruce Ashby, the Admiral Rosas thing isn't his thing.
No.
Assumedly, somebody else is like,
じゃあ
you know, testing the drugs or
レオ
whatever.
メンリー少佐、なるべく他人を傷つけずに功績を立てることができるよう祈っている。
Who did I hurt to begin with?
I think what her statement is that she's saying that what Ashley did was because of his grandfather's actual genius.
The read I was getting is that my grandfather killed himself because you're investigating shit. Because he said, I hope you can keep going without hurting other people, as though he hurt somebody already.
結局事故死なんですか？
事故か自殺か今一つはっきりしない。ただ事件性はないと判断されたようだ。詳しいことは警察が発表しなくてな。
But I said somebody else's investigation.
He looks
あの
familiar.
男は誰です？
Does he?
ほら、あの舞台俳優みたいな目立つ男がいるでしょ。
It's funny.
あ、
Like,
有名に人だな。
Oh, never mind. I know who that
若
is.
手の大
Sorry, I know him from
一番有名な
D&T.
男だ。確か国防委員になったばかりじゃなかったかな。もう2、3年もすれば最高評議
When he said he might have been an actor, I was thinking back to my theory that Ashby was an actor, and he's actually alive, and he's like here to,
私は別に
you know, with old friends passing.
構わないんですがね。
お久しぶりです。
Max?
テンボローか。
No, okay.
お前さんも来ているとは足まめなことだな。
軍武装ですからね。士官学校の在校生は全員駆り出されていますよ。いやいやというわけじゃありません。ローザス提督は立派な人だったそうですからね。それに何より授業がなくなるのがありがたい。
相変わらず偽悪趣味の口を聞く。あんまり問題を起こすなよ。来年には卒業できるんだろ。
ちょうどよかった。この後
Crazy thing to have hair the same color as your hat, but also your jacket.
財布はこちらだ。
おいおい。
Again, everyone else is in uniform, but Wei Ling is not in uniform.
Also, isn't everybody from the academy here? There's a lot of fewer seats than I would have imagined.
というわけだが、お前さんはどう思う？アッテンボロー。
バカバカしいですね。
バカ
That
バ
looks
カ
like what I'm covering up on my table.
だ
About
っ
to
て
eat.
アシュビー提督をそうやって消してしまった後、誰が帝国軍の手から同盟を守ってくれるんです？アシュビー提督を謀殺するなんて
Assumedly, whoever did.
自分の足元
Right?
に落とし
We
穴を
didn't fall to
作
the
るようなもの
Empire
ですよ
after he died.
もっともだがね。ただ歴史上にはいくらでも例があることなんだ。権力者が保身欲と猜疑心から有力な将帥を粛清してしまう例は。
Damn, you eat that spaghetti like you're just eating the meatballs.
それ
Like,
は国家の滅亡に
He's a cadet, right? Maybe he's just
逆に有
being
力な
treated
将
and
帥が
wants to eat as fast as
実
he
際に国を奪
can.
った例も枚挙にいとまがない。
つまるところ国はどっちにしたって滅びるってことですかね。 一つの滅亡の道を塞いでも別の滅亡の道が開いてしまう。
そうだよな。人が必ず死ぬように国家は必ず衰亡する。長いか短いかの差だけだ。
そんなことを登場したやつの正体はわからないんですか？
Senior Yang.
今のところわからないね。
Sorry, they said in the show, not me.
永遠にかもしれないが。
Just can't think of the first. Is it the first time they said senior?
真実は常に複
I
数
think it
なん
meant
だろうな。
senior, not senior.
Oh, you know, you're right. That's probably makes a lot more
戦争をするやつの真
sense.
実。
Senior
戦争をさせるや
Yang.
つの真実。戦争を
It's
さ
like
せられるやつ
a
の
name of a
真実。
restaurant, a Chinese Mexican restaurant.
To be fair, they would put that little line above the O, wouldn't they? If it was senior.
Yeah,
上
tilde,
の
the
兵士たちの
tilde.
声
Yeah.
を聞いてみたらどうでしょうかね。
そりゃ
My
あ
bad.
批判の声も多いだろう。だが一生こうなりて万骨狩る人間社会の真理だ。アシュビー提督だけを責めるわけにはいかない。
責める気はありませんよ。私はそんなに偉くありませんから。
無理に結論を出す必要はないぞ。結論が出てもそれが公表されるとは限らないんだ。
Which is what you didn't want to happen in the first place.
私は何のために何をやってるんですか？
人生勉強さ。
I mean, legitimately, he said to give him busy work since we didn't have a thing for you to do yet.
ま、今日はローザス提督と730年マフィアのために乾杯しよう。
ブルース・アッシュビーの死後、730年マフィアは無力化した。
Because they were all dead? Oh, never mind. This is the past. This is the past, sorry. I'm thinking of Roses still.
バロン・ゴリスウォーリックはその後も第一線の指揮官として帝国軍と戦い続けた。宇宙歴749年
It's a
に
badass name, though. Baron Wallace Warwick.
751年に宇宙艦隊司令長官に就任する。その後2年間ほど大きな改戦はなく、753年に無傷で退役する。まだ43歳であった。1年間の休養の後、伝統ある私立大学の
I thought it was actually the president or
大
something.
化なく1期3年を務めた後、聖地である惑星パラスの知事に立候補し、1期4年を過ごして中央政界に転じた。760年に最高評議会において国防委員長の座を
Isn't that what Trunk
同
was?
時に過去の武勲の
Job-
数々によっ
Job
て
Trunk?
元帥号を受けた。
The guy who showed up at the funeral, you said he looked familiar, and then they talked about him.
として鳴らしたが、
Yeah.
その身辺にはしばしばスキャンダルが発生した。彼自身が犯罪に関与したことはなかったが、国防委員会事務局の汚職事件が発覚して
The Secretariat
自殺者が出たため、
staff?
一見
Is that a
落着後
horse?
に辞任しなくてはならなかった。続いて5年来の愛人が麻薬中毒死し、さらにいくつかの小事件が連続して、バロンの名声は地に
I mean,
落
that's
ち
the
た。
second drug-related death we've gotten in this
社
episode.
会からも身を引き、わずかな資産だけを携えて、惑星ハイネセンの小都市に
Well, in the capital.
心
So,
臓発作で急死したのは766年56歳の時である。
it's 3. He died on the same page. It's a shitty newspaper.
最も長く軍隊にとどまった。宇宙歴749年に大将に昇進。753年、バロン・ウォーリックの後任として、
It's just weird, they all serving on the same ship, pointing in the same direction.
帝国軍を相手に勝敗を重ね、770年まで17年間にわたる司令長官職の最長在任記録を作った。この間、764年に元帥号を受けている。770年から71年にかけて統合作戦本部長も務めたが、これは可もなく不可もなくというところであった。
It was
どこまで
merely
も実践の
average.
人であったらしい。71年に退役して妻と共に求婚旅行に出発し、その機と宇宙船の事故で夫婦揃って死亡した。
So, a heart
61
attack
歳、妻が
and an
56歳であっ
accident.
た。ジョン・ドリンカー
I wonder if anyone's gonna die in a way that's not gonna be, like, obviously not fakeable. Or not fakeable, not couldn't be done to them.
He died in the
この
battle.
戦いのコープの作戦式は過去のどの戦い
Yeah, but we're still investigating if that's even true about the main guy.
翻弄されて乾杯を喫した戦死者数30万に及ぶ大敗であった。
Wow, 300,000 casualties.
この時マーチ・ジャスパーは救援艦隊を率いてパランティア聖域に急行したが4時間遅れた。 彼が戦場に到着した時、干渉を収めた帝国軍は
For heroes that these guys are, they're not coming out of this pretty well.
無念をわずかに晴らした。いや、当人はそのつもりだったが、冷酷な噂が立った。ジャスパーは間に合わせようと思えば援軍を間に合わせることができたのに、宝石を独占しようと企んでコープを見殺しにしたというのである。夫の死で取り乱したコープ夫人がその噂を信じてジャスパーを責めた。夫人は後にジャスパーに謝罪したが、この後味の悪い事件は死者と生者の双方を傷つけた。コープが死後、
And it does really feel like what Miriam was talking about.
遺族に伝達したが、夫人に会うことは避けた。以後、コープの遺族はジャスパーの生前に彼と会うことはなかった。
Some say they're still fighting to this day.
冷静沈着なファンチューリンを750年に大将に昇進。別に嬉しそうでもなく、生死をかけた戦いに臨む時と同じように淡々としていたという。宇宙艦隊総参謀長から司令長官をバイパスして統合作戦本部長に就任したのは755年。761年までその任にあり、宇宙艦隊司令長官であったフレデリック・ジャスパーと6年間にわたってコンビを組む。両者の公人としての関係は悪くなかったが、私的な交友は途絶えて、互いの自宅を訪問することもなかった。
Not that they had to.
761年。
I mean, the thing is that when you're at that level, and especially when you're supposed to have come up the ranks together, right? The certain friendship is supposed to be implied politically.
妻と離婚し、息子には先立たれて孤独であった。退役後、いくつかの名誉職を得たが、本気になって仕事に取り組むと若い者に嫌われると言って、一人公園のベンチで鳩に餌をまく毎日だった。
Wow, what a way to go.
63歳の時、肺塞栓症にかかり、
Okay, I guess that was least likely to be inflicted upon him.
彼は冷淡で沈着だった。
痛いですか？
痛いに決まっとる。意識が混濁しつつある。これ以上喋るとろくなことを口にしそうにないから黙るぞ。
This man lived the life that I wanted to live.
その後、何と話しかけられても返答をせず、40分後に死亡した。ファンチューリンは遺言で、葬式も埋葬も
Tell my wife I said hello.
葬式はともかく、埋葬はせぬわけにはいかず、ローザスの手配でコリント墓地にひっそりと埋葬した。簡素な墓石には、彼の生命と生没年の他に、信頼を裏切ることなき一生と記されている。ファンの死により、ローザスはかつての領有すべてを失い、以後15年間、730年マフィアの最後の一人として、静かに孤類を守り続けることになる。
Remember, there's only 7, 8, 9 now. By the way, I feel like I just read numbers out loud. UC789.
アシュビーと同じ時代にいた人間すべてが彼を崇拝し、愛し、理解せねばならないという理由はどこにもない。
アッシュビーをヤン・ウェンリーに置き換えれば、ささやかな現実に対する教訓になるかもしれない。
Like I said before, it really just feels like Yang is learning what kind of leader he wants to be.
別に孤独こそ本質だと気取ることもないが、知己が常に少数だということはわきまえておこう。コンピューター、第二次ティアマト海戦に参加したもので、現在現役のもののリストを出してくれ。
10月12日現在、第二次ティアマト海戦当時の士官20名、下士官20名、兵士35名が軍に在籍しています。
ん？アレクサンドル・ビュコック。聞いた名前だな。
No, it's one of the people I was talking about. He's the
やっぱりそうだ。
petty officer. He's the petty officer I was talking about before.
当時19歳ってことは今62歳。准将まで昇進しているのか。マーロビア聖域の警備司令官。ド辺境じゃないか。こりゃ会って話を聞くのは無理か。
It's a shame we don't have some sort of remote communication technology. Damn those people at AT&T.
お前さんの新しい認知が決まったぞ。
え？
惑星エコニアの捕虜収容所に赴任してもらう。どうにも慌ただしい話だが、 今月末にはハイネ線を出立せよとのことだ。
Wow, that's a shit job.
捕虜収容所ね。
I mean, you assume.
所長じゃないですよね。まだ。
ナンバー3だな。所長、副所長、そして参事官。所長が大佐で副所長が中佐。参事官と警備主任が少佐だ。
参事官って何をするんです？
所長がミスをしたら
Sleeps with the
責任
superintendent.
をかぶるのさ。
Oh, you mean you?
では、所長が有能であることを祈りましょう。
それがいいな。ところで、どのぐらいの期間で帰ってこられると思う？
そうですね。
You're literally the guy giving me
一年は
orders.
帰れないんじゃないでしょうか。
Why do I have to guess?
半年だな。それだけ辛抱しろ。なんとか早く呼び戻すよう手配する。
期待してますよ。
もっとも俺自身が飛ばされるようなことにならなければだがな。
Oh, great.
もしかして、それはアシュビー提督に関する調査の件ですか？
The thing that I made you do is getting us both shit canned.
もしかして、
推測してもこの際は無益だ。有益なことをするんだな。今日はもう帰っていいから荷造りでもしろ。
こうしてヤン・ウェンリーは慌ただしく惑星ハイネ線を離れる市議となった。この突然の事例にはどんな意図があるのか、憶測せずにはいられないヤンだった。
I mean, seems like he's still got time to do something before he's sent off. You know, finish the investigation, I guess. Even though there's, what, we're on episode 7, so 7 more episodes in this storyline. It's entirely possible he gets sent off to that POW camp for 6 months and he goes back.
Yeah.
Such a weird ending. I guess my first question has to be, did you spot anything wrong with the subtitles?
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, that just means that everything I do from now on shouldn't be a problem. I guess my second question is, for you in the audience, did you spot anything wrong with the subtitles? I've got to be double sure. I don't want it to be we're too stupid to notice, but it turns out.
So a couple of them could have been, shall we say, less than savory deaths, but not all of them.
Right.
And we didn't focus on that would-be explosion on the ship, right?
Well, that seemed like it was. If anything, if everything was happening the way it was supposed to happen, then that wasn't like the thing.
Yeah.
Right. The thing would have been like, oh, that wound that he would have experienced in that story isn't the same wound that is on like the doctor's report or something. That would have been the thing, and been, oh, the whole thing was made up. But no, especially we got like 75 people who were there. Not there, I mean, like, not present on the bridge, but served in the battle.
Yeah.
That's a lot of evidence working against you. It just happens. Here we go.
いくつかの出会いがあった。そしてそこにはなぜか縁が切れたはずの730年マフィアの影が事あるごとに指していた。次回銀河英雄伝説外伝スパイラルラビリンス第8話収容所惑星。人は歴史を作り出し、人は歴史を語り継ぐ。
Planet POW Camp. I was just saying it's maybe not that bad of a thing because my thought process goes back to Banner of the Stars, where you have it's a prisoner of war camp as well, made of like 3 sections. Each section has like specific kind of prisoner, but the people that run it have their own like administration block as well, which is just like a normal place to live. So that's where my thought process goes, because Banner of the Stars kind of feels like it's maybe like a step beyond Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and I don't mean like step beyond it's better or anything. Like it's a step in a different direction, but it still covers like economics, politics, all this shit you get a lot of talk about. Like an episode called increasing insanity or something like that is literally about the genetics of a family going bad, so that the family has a history of just kind of going crazy. Not like a guy goes crazy and kills people. No. We're just openly discussing the fact that our family line has this thing in it. So,
yeah, those politics are very important.
Well, I mean, it is because there's also, it feels like a really heavy sense of nepotism that these people, even though their family history has this sort of thing, are only being promoted because they come from like a royal bloodline, if you could believe that in the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is kind of politics if you consider nepotism politics.
It always is.
But yeah, no, I just mean that when they say a POW camp, even though what we got shown on there was very much felt like a 1950s prison with the giant spotlights going over across the yards and everything. I don't expect we're going to get what I was thinking of from Banner of the Stars.
Well, yeah, it was a good episode. The problem is the finding I'm finding here is that because they're taking their time, it feels collectively to be sort of meandering. Like, yeah, we found a little bit of this, but then we hear about that, and then this happens, and you're like, okay, I'm with you so far, but I'm going like, we still okay, yeah, good, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's no middle ground. That, well, someone's gonna say, "Oh, if you were just watching the fucking show, then maybe."
You know what happens. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean that maybe the show is not so much like this. I don't know. This more feels like we're watching a biography at play, but we're also watching the guy who has to interview everybody to get the biography. So there's elements of that. Like, we've heard about all these guys that we just heard about how they died from like 3 different sources, and none of them have been that interesting. But
it feels like this is a story of a guy who happens to be the story of another guy who happens to be the story of yet another guy.
Who then had a bunch of friends. Yeah, who had a bunch of friends that he wants to tell you about.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, Grandpa, get it to it. It's like, come on.
Here's the thing.
I know.
If not for the last episode, where there's at least one character who got introduced that you don't know yet, but you will. And then this episode introduced a character that you barely know, but you will. I feel like we're hitting the stride of, characters we will know are now being introduced, and they're not quite doing anything, but they're getting into relationship matchups that will tell us down the road what to expect. And I feel like as long as you're paying attention to what the show is putting out there, you might appreciate that more in the future. You might not even fucking care. I don't know. But I appreciate that I'm seeing stuff that I recognize from D&T, even though D&T should not be a reference point. Or even, I don't even know what plays. Like, I don't know what plays between D&T and this, but I enjoy that I've seen those characters now. And I'm still kind of in, like, is there a mystery? It's like, is this a mystery, or is everything just literally on the face of it, and we could have just ignored all those letters? Like, I still don't understand why you would, like, pay attention. I got a letter 75 times in a row on the same day. It's like, cool.
I think
your secretary scrap them.
I think ultimately, if I were to do a prediction, the mystery is not whether somebody lived or died. The mystery is why somebody would go through all that trouble to insinuate.
Again, I feel like the question's already been answered. It's Miriam, and she's like, these people's stories are being like impounded upon by everything that's happened so far, and it's like, well, that seems true enough, and sure. So she sent these letters specifically on her grandfather's behalf, not specifically for him, but for his legacy, and now it's being answered to. Case closed. I mean, not case closed, but case closed on her end. Now that somebody's out here actually investigating, cool. And I guess maybe Rosas felt like he can put everything at rest now too, because somebody was investigating, may have actually killed himself, or led to his own death somehow. I know I've thrown out that Miriam did it, but I don't think she killed her grandpa.
Doesn't sound like it, but
then there's the pheasant thing. It's the second time we've heard that, and you've already thrown out there that they may be an intelligence service. Well, because you said we have to get information somehow. It was like 3 or 4 episodes ago. This is going to be a lessons rule thing. I know what pheasant is because of D&T. But the fact she has a fiancé with them makes it a lot more interesting to me. But again, I think that's maybe a flaw in our watching order. Not to agree with Henry, but I think this will have payoff later down the road. Kind of with Macross has paid off for me for having watched things in what some would say the wrong order. But I feel like I appreciate, or actually I enjoy, the way that I don't know things in like Macross 0 to SDF Macross that you all have known for a long time, and then to uncover it slowly over the course of a storytelling time passing.
Yeah.
I felt I've enjoyed it.
So there it is.
Okay. I don't know if you ever have like one last thing. I guess when the pause goes on for more than 5 seconds, it's going to be a no-go.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I am going to say anything else, it's like, again, I go back to the story. I mean, because we start as a story of Wailing. Then Wailing he becomes this hero. Okay, he's the hero, whatever. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I want you to find out about this guy. And he starts investigating. But that leads to the story of this guy who is a survivor. But then gets back to the story of that guy and all his friends. But the second guy that he's investigating dies. So now we go back to Wailing's story, which is the story of now he getting sent to the POW camp. So
well, you might remember also from the next time on, the POW camp also has shadows of those older guys again. So
yeah.
I don't think we're escaping that.
I guess they might have people who are prisoners who were captured in that battle.
Could be. We did see one guy in like the looked like prison library, because it certainly looked like his prison uniform.
Yeah, and also tells you how long are these guys being POWs? Do the Empire? Well, I guess if
the war that they died in, or the battle they died in, was only 15 years ago.
Well, yeah, but usually I guess the war has gone so long that
the war has been going over more than 150 years.
Yeah.
That's why they showed. That's why they showed Bokak, and Bokak was 19 or something during one of the fights.
Yeah,
and now he's 63.
Yeah, and a commander. Which at 63 he would have probably made an admiral. He was somebody who was really a go-getter. I guess he wasn't. But also, which also leads me to believe that, again, if the Empire considers the Federation to be in rebellion, they don't recognize their authority over the POWs, and they don't. And no more to the point, they don't when they capture somebody, they just recognize them as returning these people to the Empire. So they're not going to exchange them for prisoners because, like, these are citizens. Well, we're not going to change into someone else. Right?
Re-education camps, as you've already pointed out in the past, but also to the possibility of being worked to death. So they're using re-education camps in the same terminology as North Korea uses re-education camps.
Yeah, but also it might just be from the concept of we cannot return you your people because we don't recognize you as a legitimate government. You all belong to us. You are rebellious citizens, right? So the moment we capture you, well, we're not capturing you. We're just returning you to the Empire, which means whoever you happen to be, you're more like hostages of a terrorist organization, and we don't negotiate with terrorists. Therefore, as long as the rebellion continues, you're just stacking up the crimes that you're committing against the Empire for keeping these people. No matter how well you treat them or anything, it doesn't matter because you are in rebellion, and holding people captive in rebellion is a crime unto itself.
I would love for one day the Empire to win, and they take like the president of the Alliance, and then they charge him for every crime, every battle, every death of like the last 150 years. Just like imagine being put into a room with like a robot speaker, and your death sentence is literally just being trapped there to listen to 150 years worth of crimes.
Technically, they could.
Yeah, I would just be that would be like the death by bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy, yeah.
Let me out. I don't know any of these people. We're still in the first 10 years. God damn it, a lot of people have died. Anyway, final thought from me is I feel like the name of the series that we're watching, this is the first 14 episodes have their own name, Spiral Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Might be just like metaphor for what we're watching. You know, Yang in his life is going around on these circles, and the labyrinth is the mystery that we're unfolding, but it keeps circling around on itself like a spiral labyrinth.
Yeah. I mean, Gaiden means side story. According to Google, it means side story or tale. So this is, the whole thing is a side story anyway.
So right? Ninja Gaiden was a ninja side story or tale? A ninja tale actually sounds cool. I mean, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mock that. But no, I mean, Gaiden is like the 1998 series of stories, and this is actually called Ninja Gaiden all of a sudden. This is Legend of the Galactic Heroes Gaiden 2, which is 1998, which is like the second season of Gaiden. Because when we finish Spiral Labyrinth, we actually go back to 1998's season 1. There's another story in that one, which is actually only 4 episodes long before we jump into another thing. So we'll figure out how that works. But I meant more of the Spiral Labyrinth name, because it feels like
everything.
Yang is navigating a labyrinth, but every turn he makes, he's going back in a circle. As we already described, he's researching a guy who then has a thing to say about a bunch of old friends who then relate to one another about that other guy he was researching. Then he comes back to him because he committed suicide, maybe, or he's just dead. Either way. Because then we go out to a POW camp where it's shadows of the past, where we're then going to learn about the guy who's probably going to talk about his old friends again. You know? It's circle labyrinth.
And I wonder if many of these prisoners, after decades of being there, I mean, do they feel they want to go back to the Empire at some point? It's like, I don't care anymore, right? You know, they're not being mistreated or exploited in any way. They're like, you just live here now.
I mean, it does look like a 1950s prison, so it's hard to tell. Like not a 1950s actual prison, like a 1950s movie prison. Like, you're going to see people slinking against the walls, and then the light's going to go on them, and they're like, ah! Yeah. And one of them's going to tear his hair off. He's going to be Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all for us today. Once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?